What's up, YouTube? Timmy's here. Here is my throwback segment where I talk about the films that turned 10, 20, 30, and 40 this week. Alright, the films celebrating their 10th anniversary. We, of course, got the new one coming out in July. So it's fitting to talk about this one because 10 years ago today, or this week I say, we, of course, had Jurassic World. Of course, that was like the first Jurassic Park movie we had since like 2000, since Jurassic Park 3, which was like in 2001 or 2 or something like that. I adore Jurassic World. It was so back. It was really cool, seeing us back in this world of dinosaurs and everything. Of course, you had Chris Pratt, Bryce Dallas Howard, the two kids, Nick Robinson, the one who played Holly in Iron Man 3. Jake Johnson was also in this. I had a blast with this one. It was actually in my top 10 favorite films of that year. It's just, I saw this one probably about 3 times in theaters. I was blown away with how good it was. Chris Pratt, of course, playing the lead here was awesome. Of course, playing the role of Owen. Vincent D'Onofrio plays like the bad guy, which he was great. It's just a really fun one, and I really wish the other two was a little better, really. I mean, Fallen Kingdom was okay, Dominion was awful, but the one from 2015 is, out of all 3 of those, Jurassic World, I think, is still, obviously the best Jurassic Park movie will always be the original, but if I had to talk about which is my second favorite, it will actually be Jurassic World. It's just excellent. Alright. Also turning 10 is Me and Earl and the Dying Girl. Now, this was a really heartfelt film for 2015, starring Thomas Mann, Olivia Cook. You also had John Bernthal. It was directed by Alfonso Gomez Reagan. And, of course, it is pretty much like about 2 friends whose, friend is also, dying, and they set out to make a movie and about her life here. And it's actually a really solid little film. I remember watching this all the way back in 2015. It's not really a movie I'll really go back to watch over and over, to be honest with you. But it is really a heartfelt film worth giving a go. Thomas Mann, the kid who played the Blue Ranger in that Power Rangers reboot from 2017. RJ Collar, I think his name is. He also played the lead too. You also had like Nick Offerman was also in this. Connie Britton, Molly Shannon. It is a really heartfelt film worth giving a go. If you guys haven't seen it, definitely give that one a go. Alright. Films turning 20 this week is Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Now, of course, I guess you could say this was the movie that really, gave us the term Brangelina, because this was the film that, had Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie dating on the set, and obviously they were going to, be with each other throughout, whatever. But take that stuff aside. Mr. and Miss Smith, of course, there is a TV show of it now on Amazon. But the movie version with like Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie, Vince Vaughn, it's still a really decent one. Of course, it does star Brad Pitt, Jolie as like a upper middle class married couple who are surprised to learn that they are also assassins here, and they have been decided to kill each other here. And it's a still really entertaining one, directed by Doug Liman, has some fun comedy throughout. I was so surprised they never done a sequel to this, to be honest with you. Like, it did pretty well in theirs, and obviously Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. I mean, they've done stuff beforehand, obviously. But again, this was really the film that really made them, that really put them together, really. And I always, other than the TV show, obviously, I was always surprised we never got to see a sequel to this. With Jolie and Pitt together again. I mean, the last time they actually did work together, by the way, was this boring movie that Jolie directed called By the Sea, or whatever that. It was really boring. Alright. Also turning 20 is the Honeymooners reboot. Now, of course, 2005 was like a year where they was pretty much a modest year when they did like films based on TV shows. Because that was also the same year that obviously the aforementioned Honeymooners, June was also the same year that the Will Ferrell and Nicole Kidman Bewitched movie came out. Then August we would get that Dukes of Hazzard movie with Jessica Simpson. I admit the Dukes of Hazzard one is probably my favorite out of the three, but of course they did do the Honeymooners with Cedric the Entertainer, Mike Epps, Gabrielle Union. It has some interesting potential because Cedric the Entertainer, obviously a comedy legend there. Now here, of course, you have Cedric the Entertainer as a character of Ralph, who is of course this bus driver, and of course you got Ed Norton playing his character named Ed Norton. But anyway, Ed Norton is of course played by Mike Epps, who are best friends, and of course Ralph is constantly masterminding get rich quick schemes, and of course he is forced behind. He of course is driving force behind them in their lives, and of course you have Alice Credman, played by Gabrielle Union, and Trixie, played by Regina Hall. And it's a very different version of the TV show that is. It's not so good. It's such a shame too, because you got like people on this I've liked. Cedric the Entertainer is always great. I always love Regina Hall, but this one, let's be real. If this movie came out today, it probably would have been considered woke in today's status. But obviously, people didn't care about wokeness at the time. People just cared if you made a good film or not. And the Honeymooners wasn't one of them. And yeah, and sad to say the Bewitched movie didn't do all that great either. But I'll get you that in a separate video. All right. Oh yeah, you had John Leguizamo in this one. It's been a while since I've seen that Honeymooners reboot. I mean, the original TV show is an all-time classic, but the movie itself, yeah. Anyway, also turning 20 is The Adventures of Sharkboy and Lavagirl in 3D. Now, of course, it was really cool to see Sharkboy and Lavagirl pretty much return in that Robert Rodriguez film, We Can Be Heroes. And you know what? Sharkboy and Lavagirl is actually a fan favorite of mine. I mean, it's not a great movie. The CGI is quirky, but it is a lot of fun. I mean, you actually got George Lopez playing the villain in this, which even he calls out, and he was like, "Wait, I'm the bad guy? I ain't a bad guy." Hey, Lopez was great in this, and of course you had like Taylor Lautner, pre-Twilight fame and whatever. Now, if you guys don't know much about Sharkboy and Lavagirl here, is of course with his classmate named Young Max, played by Caden Boyd, who is bullied by classmates, escapes into a fantasy conjuring up action-packed lives of Lavagirl, played by Taylor Dooley, and Sharkboy, played by Taylor Lautner. But of course, one day, Lavagirl and Sharkboy suddenly comes to life, and the world of Planet Jules needs a hero, Max. As Max escapes to the planet Jewel, he of course battles aliens, and of course, he also pretty much battles, an alien being, which is of course his teacher, played by George Lopez. And of course, Sharkboy and Lavagirl is pretty much like I guess say Rodriguez's more follow up to Spy Kids, because when you think of Robert Rodriguez, you always think of like Machete, Desperado, and whatever. He actually has one of the most odd, like very interesting but oddest resume. He could go from doing like an ultra violent movie such as, let's say, Machete, from Dusk Till Dawn, whatever. But he could go from that to doing a kids movie like Spy Kids, Sharkboy, Lavagirl, and whatnot. And now Sharkboy and Lavagirl isn't as good as Spy Kids, obviously, but it's definitely still had some fun charm to it. Some of the action, by the way, I mean, of it is not that great. The visuals isn't that great, but it doesn't really hold up, really. Yeah, I mean, you just got like the main villain is of course a George Lopez floating head that looks like a MODOK from the recent Ant-Man film. That's what you really get with this. But anyway, all right. And of course, it was released in 3D. At the time, 3D wasn't as like, let's say, popular as they are since Avatar was released. But hey. All right. Also turning 20 is a very different film, High Tensions. Of course, directed by Piranha 3D director Alexandra Aja, it follows two female students who arrive in a secluded farmhouse to study, where they shortly are invaded by a serial killer. And this movie is very, let's say, intense. The tension rise here. It is very like ultra violent throughout. I mean, Alexandre Aja is of course the director behind the Hills Have Eyes remake. He also did Piranha 3D, Crawl. He's a very interesting filmmaker, and this is a really interesting film he put out. So yeah, all right. Film celebrating their 30th anniversary. We of course got Pocahontas. Now, of course, this is like obviously one of Disney's animated films they put out in the '90s. I mean, they've almost every year in the '90s they always pretty much put out something. Whether it was like obviously The Lion King, uh, Little Mermaid. Of course, this was in that like Lion King, not Little Mermaid, Lion King, Aladdin era. I would admit, I don't love Pocahontas as much as I did with, let's say, Lion King or Aladdin or even Beauty and the Beast, but it's still really this one worth giving a go. Of course, the music, which some of the songs I believe actually scored Oscar nominations, if I'm not mistaken. And of course, you even got the voices of Mel Gibson of all people in this. That's very problematic today nowadays, but of course, Pocahontas is based on the life of Powhatan woman Pocahontas and the arrival of the English Congo settlers from the Virginia Company. And the music is, of course, really decent. The animation style is great. Come on, Pocahontas and her chemistry with the raccoon. Come on, the raccoon is always like a fan favorite animal in the Disney world, and yeah, it's not really an anime film I really go back to watch over again. I mean, I'll always go back to watch obviously The Lion King or even Toy Story, whatever. But I would say Pocahontas is still really this one worth giving a go. All right. Uh, okay. Also turning 30 is Congo. Congo was of course based on a book by speaking of Jurassic Park, by the way, by Jurassic Park author Micah Crichton. I guess you could say it's like, let's say, Jurassic Park, but with a gorilla. I guess you could probably say King Kong's like Jurassic Park with a gorilla, but yeah, so. And funny enough is one of his stars, Delroy Lindo, was also with us, and ironically, he's going to be in the new Godzilla and Kong film coming out 2027. Man, I'm going to be so disappointed if we see the new Godzilla and Kong film and they don't give some sort of Congo reference. Like, they don't give Delroy Lindo to do a Congo reference, but anyway. Now, of course, if you guys don't know much about Congo, it stars Laura Linney as a scientist named Karen Ross, who is sent by her father, played by the late Joe Don Baker, to the Congo to determine the whereabouts of his missing son. And, she is, of course, led by Guy Kelly, played by Ernie Hudson. And, of course, you also have other people like Dylan Wash playing Dr. Pierre Elliott, Treasure Hunter Kermaker, played by Tim Curry. And, of course, a gorilla who discovers like a danger far more sinister here. And Congo is not like, it's not a great film. It's not nowhere near as good as, let's say, King Kong or Jurassic Park or whatever. It definitely is more of a guilty pleasure, if you will. It is still pretty fun. It is a '90s, like, it's very '90s cheesy, sci-fi action, really. Obviously they were trying to capitalize on the success of something like Jurassic Park or even King Kong. And this definitely was a pretty decent one, worth giving a go. So not a bad one there. All right. Also turning 30 is Party Girl. Now, I guess you could say this is a movie that really put Parker Posey on the map for most people. Obviously, she will go on to play Jennifer Jolie in Scream 3. She was just in The White Lotus season 3 just recent. And, of course, this movie here also had the likes of Liev Schreiber, who was also in the in Scream 3. And of course, you got Parker Posey, who plays Mary, who has like very little income, and she still finds a way to spend her nights at clubs. And after being arrested for having illegal rave, she pretty much asks her aunt Judy to bail her out. And of course, she then finds Mary a job at her library, so that Mary could also repay her initially here. And she of course get pretty much she get like to a known street food vendor whom she likes, She must like refocus on her life once she loses her job here. And Parker Posey, it's a really interesting performance of hers. Of course, it actually did score, I believe, like a couple of Independent Spirit nominations at the time. It is a really decent, charming film. Parker Posey, again, this was actually like, I think this was actually like her breakout role, if I'm not mistaken, or I can't remember if she did something beforehand. But hey, she was still great in this. It's Liev Schreiber, of course, one of like Liev Schreiber's earliest roles, because obviously this was before Scream and all. But it's a really decent one worth giving to go. All right. Films celebrating their 40th anniversary this week. We of course got the movie DARYL. Now, of course, DARYL stars Mary Beth Hara, Michael McCain, and it follows like a normal young boy who turns out to be a top secret military career robot with superhuman abilities. And this is like very 80s cheesy, if you will. I mean, obviously they were trying to capitalize on the success of something like E.T. and all, but yeah, Daryl's definitely was no E.T. and yeah, not so good. All right. Also turning 40 is Prizzi's Honor, directed by legendary filmmaker John Huston, starring Jack Nicholson and Kathleen Turner. Of course, they both play two highly skilled mob assassins who, of course, after falling in love, are hired to kill each other here. And you also had the likes of CCH Pounder, William Hickley. Uh, it was also the film debut of Stanley Tucci, believe it or not. It is a really fun one. I guess you could say it was like the Mr. and Mrs. Smith of the 80s, really. Of course, the chemistry between both Jack Nicholson and Kathleen Turner was great. Two legendary actors right there. It's a really fun, John Huston, of course, legendary in his own right. Really interesting, fun film worth giving a go. Alright. Films also celebrating their 40th anniversary. We got Secret Admirer. Of course, starring C. Thomas Howell, the late Kelly Preston, the late Corey Haim. You also had Full House actress Lori Loughlin was also in this. And here, of course, you got C. Thomas Howell, who plays Michael Ryan, who has been in love with Deborah, played by Kelly Preston, for as long as he can remember, and not realizing that his female best friend, Tony Williams, played by Lori Loughlin, is, of course, secretly pining for them. And he, of course, leaves Deborah and a letter as soon and of course and soon the two like begins a relationship here and there, and it's really like it's a really cute little charming one. The chemistry between C. Thomas Howell, who of course was like pretty much an 80s teen heartthrob at the time, his of course chemistry with like Kelly Preston was great. Lori Loughlin, which I believe this was actually pre Full House if I'm not mistaken. This was actually like I think even before Full House even was a thing. But she was actually pretty solid in this one too. You also had some other interesting folks as well. You also had like J.J. Cohen, Dee Wallace, some really interesting cast members, to say at least. All right. Also turning 40 is The Stuff, directed by Larry Cohen, starring the legend that are Garrett Morris and Paul Sorvino. It is, of course, about a sweet and addictive alien substance becomes a popular dessert in the U.S., but soon begins attacking people and turning them into zombies. And it's not really memorable at all. It's not really that good of a film. Of course, Garrett Morris, obviously, at the time was coming off of his SNL gigs and all, but he was fine in this, but it's not really anything to really go by. I mean, the 80s had some interesting, fun, horror, sci-fi films, but not everything in the 80s turned out to be gold, and this one definitely wasn't. So, yeah. But that's pretty much it there. Let me let you guys. Which of these films pretty much stand out to you the most? To me, the 10-year one is, of course, going to go to Jurassic World. The 20-year one is, of course, going to go to Mr. and Mrs. Smith. The 30-year one is, of course, going to Pochahontas. And the 40-year one is going to Prizzi's Honor. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for notification. This is Tim.